question you all have been waiting for.
Yeah, we're really excited about today's service. We're actually double teaming MCILA
Woo!
and CFF. Why don't we give it up for
Come on,
MCILA?
MCILA.
Give it up for CFF.
Come on. Hey, guys. So today we're going to be asking all those questions that you have been waiting to get answers for.
They're the questions you asked, so don't get mad at us. These are the questions you chose.
And we have the right people for those questions. Man, nothing is going to be restricted today. Nothing censored, or maybe. I don't know. What do you think, Frank?
We'll see. We'll see where the Lord takes this.
All right. So let's get started. And how many of you guys want to hear from your pastors tonight? All right, so we're gonna pass it first to Pastor Pablo and Pastor Eunice. So welcome, Pastor Pablo and Pastor Eunice in the house today.
Whoa,
Yes,
yeah.
come on, type it right there. Woohoo! All right, pastors, people in the audience want to know about your love story. So can you tell us, how do you meet?
Our story is not like a Romeo and Juliet crazy story. It's more of it definitely is a love story. But I think sometimes people expect something, but it's exactly, honestly, what we needed. In our love story, we both were in a place where we really wanted to serve God. We both wanted to serve the Lord. I think Eunice was working here at CFF as a youth leader, youth pastor, youth leader. Yeah, and and obviously I was working at New Generation, and we were just like really serving God. We weren't like actively looking, or in other words, desperate mode, but we really wanted God to
We're
do
gonna
something.
have a question about that later, Pastor.
About
the desperate
desperation.
mode.
Yeah, there's levels, definitely levels, but we weren't at that level yet. But we were in the service of God that we actually met. We were serving. We were actually at a pastor's meeting. Yeah, it was at CFF, and I think your dad and your mom were the hosts, and we were having with Pastor Galvez, right? And so Eunice, that day came and she served breakfast. She served us media lunas. These little like croissant sandwiches. They're so delicious. And
Take note, ladies.
A way
take
to a
notes.
man's heart is through their stomach, and also their eyes. So but through the stomach, and yeah. So I think that was the first part, right? What?
That's not the love story.
That's just how it happened.
They're not asking how it happened.
I don't know what a love story is. I mean, what do we have? Like I don't know.
Can we
I don't
hear
know.
Pastor Eunice's perspective?
The
of
real version.
The real version, ladies and gentlemen. Not just kidding.
I didn't like him, and he didn't like me.
Oh, now this
knew
is what we've been
There
looking
we
for.
go, there
This
we
is what we
go.
wanted.
There's a reason
Where's
why.
the love in that?
Well, that's the thing. Many people think that for it to be a love story, it has to be love at first sight, and
come
I
on.
don't think it should be that way, or it's not that way many times. There might be a percentage that has happened, but in our case, it wasn't like that. We were just like, at first, I didn't like him. I thought he was really like conceited, and like he thought too much of himself.
Hey, that's my pastor.
And like he was like very nice, and I got opportunity to see him like a couple of times before making a final decision of if I liked him or not. But the thing is that the more I would get to know him, the more friends we became, and the more the the friendship grew, the more I started getting interest in him, and
What?
interest. Yes. The thing is, like, I still didn't know if it was reciprocal, and that was like my thing, that in all my relationship, not my dream relationships, because they never actually happened, it was never reciprocal. So I always would like someone, and that person wouldn't like me back, or vice versa. So to me, that was a big thing. So after months of being just friends, and like really just friends, I started realizing that I liked him, but I didn't know if he liked me back. So that was my prayer, and saying, God, if he likes me, I want to see your grace in my life, so he would actually notice me, and this would be reciprocal. If it is not reciprocal, then it's not, and that's it. I wasn't up to wasting time, wasting thought, wasting feelings on someone that didn't like me back. So I think that's when the love story starts. Like the whole like a little bit of flirting here, a little bit of flirting there, and flirting is not bad as long as it's done right, And I think people are really afraid of that, like the limits. Maybe that's another question. But I think when we started like realizing that we liked each other, then we started becoming like what now it's the stage of special friends. I didn't know the stages. He knew, but he didn't share with me, so I didn't know what was going on. I just follow along. The thing is, like, it was progressive and it was healthy. It was not too slow, not too fast. I think it was always looking for God to be in the middle. But there was like falling in love, definitely. Just maybe not the way Hollywood shows it many times.
Yeah, and I would say every relationship must be tested. We certainly were tested, and we could probably talk about that in other questions. But if you really want to hear a real love story, you got to hear Pastor Luke and Pastor Marcela.
Yes,
So that's a real
thank you,
love
Pastor
story.
Pablo and Pastor
That's a good
Eunice.
transition right there.
Perfect, and that's how we end this show. Nah, just kidding. Pastor only answer half of the questions. No, but let's hear from Pastor Luke and Pastor Marcela.
Hey, well, it's so good to be here. Thanks for having us. I think I'm going to start because the love story began for me first. I went to Colombia, Bogota, where my wife is from. I was going over there to go to a youth conference. And if I'm honest, I wasn't looking for anything. Really, I wasn't. But when I got there, I walked into the Coliseum and there was thousands of young people around. And when I saw this girl, she was standing over by the stage and she had this t-shirt on with a big face on it. It was a campaign t-shirt of her sister because she was running for, I don't know, mayor or something like that. I don't think it was that intense, but let's just go with that. But when I saw her, it was like sparks flew in my eyes and emotions ran really high. And I was able to go over to her and talk to her. And I didn't have much to say, but it was in this moment that I really felt God actually spoke to me. This is the person you've been praying for. And so it was a crazy moment because I'd always heard the stories like, oh yeah, you know who she is or you know who he is, but I never believed it. But honestly, God really did that. I'm going to let you take the rest.
Okay. Thank you for having us. My side is long, so I'm going to try to make it really short. So I spent a year here in California before I met him. And in that year, God put in my heart to really pray for my husband. So I was praying every single day. He gave me a word and I prayed with that word every day. And the word had a name on it. It was Jedidiah. And it's just a guy from the Bible, and it means son of peace. So my prayer was, God, I want someone that would bring peace to my heart. Why? Because I was in a relationship and I didn't feel right about it. I didn't feel peace in my heart. So I wanted to feel that peace with the person that God had for me. So I remember that as he was in Bogota, I was his
My chaperone.
Yes. And so I was driving him around and hanging out with him, but I didn't feel anything. I just, thought he was just a white guy.
And he still is.
And he still is.
Maybe more white.
So, but no, when we were hanging out one of the days, I remember it was really hot and he took off his jacket.
Okay. Come on.
He was white.
And he was really white. Just kidding.
And he was wearing a shirt that said Jedidiah.
Wow.
So when I
Son of
saw
peace.
that, I had been praying for a year, and I asked him, hey, what does your shirt say? And he says, Jedidiah from the Bible. I was like, wow. In my mind, I thought like, oh man, he's my husband. And then, I didn't do anything. I just went back home and prayed and kept asking God for signs and like confirm things in my heart. And then after 3 months of being friends, just like he really pursued me.
There's so much more to this story.
Yeah.
I was suffering on the other side because I thought she was the one from the moment, and she never said anything or gave in to any. She didn't show me that she liked me. She didn't say anything. I had to go back to California, and I said, hey, I want to become better friends with you. And she told me, email me. I think I had like a Hotmail. If you still use Hotmail, you're like in the old days. I don't. I was like,
You only 30
okay, I don't email. And so, well, I did. That day I went back and I emailed her. And we had family. There was family involved. Seriously, this is taking hours to tell you a whole story. But we went
But
through
I
different
fell
stages.
in love with you. Yeah.
She fell in love with
After
me.
3 months, he was very, very perseverant, and
Well, after 3 months,
And
she fell in love
there
with me.
is-
You're making it sound like it happened just like.
no, he would send me letters, he would send me flowers.
Take notes, fellas.
So I was like, he just conquered me, and I fell in love with him, madly in love with him. So that's it.
Yes. Wow. Incredible stories. How long had you guys been married, Pastor Luke and Marcela?
And 9 years.
And Pastor Pablo and Eunice?
Like 25 or something.
No, it's gonna be
11. It's gonna be 11 years in June 19th.
Oh,
okay,
it's coming.
okay.
It's
Maybe.
coming.
And I got to be on their honeymoon a little bit. If that
Luke
comes
did
up
get
at
to be
all
on
in
our
this.
like literally in the hotel room where we were staying
On us.
during our honeymoon.
This is a different episode.
Wow.
I don't even want to ask how that happened.
It was so we know them for
We'll-
sure.
We'll get into details later.
Let's just say he is son of peace.
Son of a bitch.
Son of peace.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your stories. So cool. And now we want to move to the next segment, which is we want to ask you guys all those questions.
Yeah, all the questions you guys sent us, we're gonna. This is the time that we get to ask them.
This is it, guys. Take your notepads out.
I'm nervous.
Take notes. Record this part. Go record it right now. You're gonna need it. And so we're gonna ask the question to our guests today. And if you want to answer, go for it. If you want to go first, Pastor Pablo and Pastor Eunice, you can do that. Or Pastor Luke and Marcela, we can go back and forth. It doesn't matter. But the questions are here.
Here we go. I
My
can ask the
beloved,
first
you
one.
want to ask
Yeah.
the first one?
The first one that you guys sent us is men.
For men?
Already starting off. In these days, men in these days don't know how to pursue a woman
Ooh.
or conquer her. What tips can you give men on what to do and what not to do when it comes to conquering a woman's heart?
Ooh.
I have something. I've been thinking about this.
Take
Okay,
it,
okay.
Pastor.
I've been
Take it,
thinking
take
about
it.
Have
this.
mercy on
Because
them.
we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now with
Who?
certain people.
Don't want to get
I
married.
won't say names.
Certain influencers.
And others. No, but like Pablo was preaching yesterday, and he said something that I think it summarizes really well. If you are in her thoughts, will be in her heart. And I think if you want to conquer,
Oh.
do things to be in her mind.
Ah.
And I think in her mind in a good way though.
Right.
Because,
That's
because I've heard so many things. I've heard things, of people that are in girls' minds but the wrong way.
Well, what do you think it's one of those ways to
Yeah.
get into a girl's mind? That sounds so creepy.
Well,
but
being attentive.
attentive, yeah.
Definitely.
Like attentive about what, or like being what, like just go cut their lawn, like go wash their
What's
windows.
too much?
What is
Yeah.
what is too much? Where's the creep line and where's the I like this guy.
This getting
He's
good.
nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think starting with a friendship, it's always safe. It's always something that without getting put in the friend zone,
the
to
email
get
zone.
interest in the email zone, to look like search for that friendship, to get interest on the things she likes, to see like what she dislikes, what she likes, from what candy to what flowers to what color to
What
what
TV
music
show,
to
yeah.
what TV show. And then make conversation based on that. I think that's a great way to start getting in her mind. I don't know. Maybe Luke and Marcela have a different perspective.
Something that I've learned from my wife is that the girl determines everything. Because if you as a girl, I'm talking to you girls right now, if you as a girl just allow the guy to do whatever, and lots of guys say things to you and treat you a certain way, and I think you're allowing the dishonor. But what I admired and so much about Marcela, if I could just kind of praise her a little bit, is that she didn't allow me actually even to kind of step over, and I'm a conqueror by nature. I want to know that I'm doing good. I want you to say, yeah, you're awesome. And she wasn't giving me any of that. So what did that do for me? It made me want to conquer more, and it tested my love. And I think what happens these days is love isn't tested. And so therefore there's mistakes all the time. And I think honor is missing so much in relationships these days. And guys don't serve. They want the girl to serve. And I don't just mean that bring them coffee or something like that, but that they would serve. And so you got to study guys that are actually conquerors. I want to look at marriages. I want to look at relationships that are good. So if this is a guy asking this question, look at relationships at work. Maybe your dad didn't do such a great job, or maybe you've been in and out of relationships that haven't worked that good. But you know, look at relationships that are really working well and learn from that. And also be around a girl that actually honors and loves herself.
And Pastor Luke, if I could add to that if a guy doesn't conquer in the conquering stage, he's probably not going to be conquering you when you're married. And you want somebody that continues to conquer, right? And so, you know, don't be so lenient on that. But I would just say if a girl wants to be conquered, you have to show at least a little bit, like a little bit. Sometimes a little bit is good. Yeah.
And learn her love language. That's very important. Mine is gifts, and
I think it's all of them. But.
Yes, no. But he will give me lots of presents,
Quintilingual.
and I love presents. I like presents, and that conquer my heart. So sometimes guys don't do anything, you know. So you guys have to invest.
I like presents too.
Just to stand up a little bit for the guys. We have heard 2 complaints from the men in regards to this area, saying that sometimes they have tried to go for conquering a girl and they get shut down immediately because
you're ugly.
No, this is the thing that they say. They say they say that the woman at the church can be too picky with what they want in a man. So if they don't immediately see,
so they don't allow themselves to
exactly
be
like
conquered?
if the man doesn't meet the list of the things on her list,
He just
immediately
needs to
they won't even
persevere.
take a risk. They won't even take a risk. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think Pastor Marcela had something to say with that. Because she saw it firsthand. Because she said at first she didn't like Pastor Luke, but she just said persevere. I think maybe she could talk a little more about
yes,
that.
persevere. I've seen it many times. Women, I feel like in church, because we are taught different principles, and we hear a lot, you know, protect your heart. That's what we want to do, you know, and we want to follow that. But when we see a guy that he's persevering, that he shows you not too much, but with like little things that he likes you and that he cares about you, and he speaks your language, that for me is big. Then you will have a different connection, and like Eunice said, you know, she's gonna be thinking about you for sure.
To add to the persevering, I saw Luke literally learn Spanish in order to conquer Marcela. Like he moved countries, he left his home, he left his ministry, he left. I'm not saying you should leave your ministry.
We're not endorsing that.
We're not endorsing leaving your
Don't leave
ministry.
churches
You know,
either.
We import, we don't export.
We import, we do not
Anybody
export
else that
it.
is watching this from
Yeah, yeah.
anywhere else that is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
CFF, just know
we may
that
have like a free trade thing, like a draft pick at some point and during the year. No, but we saw Luke conquer. Like I saw him cry like a baby. I'm just kidding. No, I saw him suffer for it, and you know what? It paid. Like it really paid off. And so, men, don't be afraid to conquer. You got to go for it. And if she says no the first time,
And
you know,
women,
it don't mean
women need to let them conquer you. Don't
Yeah.
be easy.
Let's go.
Wait, you know,
Yeah.
let them conquer. Let them pay a price.
Don't be floozies.
That's important.
Yeah, to continue along the same topic of conquering, because that was a question that
Don't be a
came up
floozy.
a lot of times. Somebody asked, if a guy is on the constant hunt for a wife, does that make him desperate or does that
Ooh.
make him determined?
That's good.
Do you guys hear the
Good question.
question?
Say it again.
Ask her again. Ask it again. If a guy is on the constant hunt for a wife, does that make him desperate or does that make him determined?
So to answer that question, if a guy's constantly trying to conquer, you know, if he's trying to conquer everything that moves, then it makes him desperate. If he's trying to conquer someone that he really, really, really likes, like I said, in Pastor Luke's case, I saw it happen and I thought that was awesome. You know, obviously, something that I would say is that don't just try to conquer, try to change also, try to grow, you know, try to become, you know,
What are some
that
of the
which
things
you're
that
not.
Pastor Luke did Pastor Pablo that showed you that he was trying
Well,
to
he
conquer?
learned a whole new language. Like he learned Spanish. He moved. He conquered her entire family. You have to understand that,
That's
like,
not easy.
and that is not it. No, you know why? Because this is a beautiful family that has high standards, that has a priestly family, and they're all like godly, amazing, godly people, and so is she. But
And she's the youngest.
and she's the
so
baby of the family.
everybody
Pastor
was on
Luke,
her
you
Right. So he definitely went out of his way to conquer. He learned the language. He moved, countries, and of course he knew that the Lord had him back here. This is where his heart
I
was.
think he conquered, like, at first he conquered her mom first, and like really like you could tell the family was growing into him.
Yeah.
And still, like, they didn't make it easy for him either, but that didn't amedrentó.
Yeah,
Pastor
it didn't,
Luke.
I don't know if you remember. One time we were at a hotel, Luke, and it was like midnight or something. We were talking. We were both laying in bed, looking up at the sky, and we were talking about this, how hard this was, and how much, like, and it was this tough time. So I saw it firsthand, just the amount of work they took. So when a guy says I'm conquering, and then a month into it, maybe you were not, maybe you really don't really have that mindset. You need to have that kind of mindset to conquer. And if he did it, I think many guys need to have that kind of heart to conquer. And obviously, like I said, don't just try to conquer and try to have her see how amazing you are. Keep on growing, keep on developing. Learn something that you didn't know before. Earn something you weren't earning before.
So, Pastor, something that to go along with that question, something that the men have complained about, and that it came out in the questions, is that sometimes when they try to conquer everything that you guys just said right now, the girls turn them down immediately because they're not they don't fit their list, or that they even have said that girls at our churches are kind of picky when it comes to choosing men.
Who said that?
Who said that?
Hold up.
But
said
but
that?
we
Hold up.
can maybe Pastora Marcela, what do you think about that? Are girls really too picky when it comes down to even giving guys a chance or an opportunity? Because you took your chances with Pastor Luke.
Yeah, I think times have changed. And yes, sometimes girls want, I don't know, like Benny Hinn, or like, a mega pastor, things like that. And it's okay to have some expectations, but I don't know. I think I'm kind of like half and half with like having a list and just letting God like also lead you, and sometimes your heart leads you, because Luke had a lot of things that I had in my list, but others he didn't have. And I don't know, I just
What didn't I have?
Ooh, he's been wondering all these years.
I'm not gonna say that.
We
Uh,
left it at the cross.
Amen.
I'm so in love that I forgot.
I'm a new man.
Yes. No, so yeah, I feel like women, you need to look for someone that adores you, is willing to die for you, and that loves God in first place.
Yeah.
And from that on, it's just that, what you like and what you feel that, you want.
I
But
think
I don't
that may be where the confusion comes sometimes when people talk about the one, and they confuse it with perfection. And so, oh man, the one must be perfect and fulfill every single need. But actually, marriage is actually serving the other or fulfilling the other's need. And so, just girls, some of you need to throw out the list.
I think
Just
it sounds to me like some of the women want Benny Hinn's anointing with Stephen Furtick's biceps and Pastor Pablo's face.
Oh man.
Can Pastor Luke
Can I
Page's
say
guitar and
something?
singing
Okay.
skills?
Yeah, it's not
Hey.
gonna happen.
Son.
That guy's already taken. I'm just kidding. All right, let's shift it before it gets awkward.
But
So,
I
this is
have
awesome.
something to
Pastor.
say about the list, because I did have
Right.
a list, and my list is pretty much 95% completed when I met
Wow.
Pablo. But my list wasn't a perfect man. It was like
Yeah,
basic
mine
things that I
too.
wasn't willing to compromise.
Can you give some examples?
Good. That's good.
Those
Preach that.
non-compromisables.
that.
I had a list with different areas. I had like the area for the family. I wanted him to be a family man that would love his mom and would take care of his mom. I had
I'm not a mama's boy.
not a mama's boy, definitely. I wanted like him to be athletic and outdoorsy. I wanted him to
Keep on going,
love
yeah.
kids. I wanted him to have a career and have schooling. Someone that was smart, someone that was like funny, and like when
That one was a bit.
and I had even like for the physical aspect things that were so specific, like moles in his face. And when I didn't like Pablo at first, like I said, but then when I started feeling things and I went back to that list, I started seeing that many of the things in that list were Pablo. However, that didn't determine that this is it. I had to really pray and say, God, is it really from you? Because I had a sign. I didn't have a list. I had a sign, and that sign was, like I said, to be reciprocal. The thing is, like, many times the list might not be 100% there, but if in that person there's potential for growth, then that's way better than saying, okay, I'm gonna get rid completely of the list. Yeah. I'm not saying getting completely rid or like sticking to it to the point that you are so legalistic that nothing goes. I'm saying that does that person have the potential to become that person that you've been praying for? And are you looking for a man or are you looking for a marriage? And I think that's the difference, because if you're looking for a man, then there's never going to be someone perfect enough. But if you're looking for an ideal marriage, the kind of marriage, the kind of family man that you want to have next to you for the rest of your life, then there might be things that are not there, but that man will get to that marriage that you are dreaming with, because you're looking for something bigger than just one perfect person.
And I would say some of the things in the list that you thought you wanted will completely be offset by other amazing things that you didn't even know you wanted at all, that you didn't even know exist. And so those things will come into play, and you're
all
like,
right,
that's
next
awesome.
question.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm talking about her list,
He wanted an outdoor scene. It didn't happen.
She only go outdoors plants sometimes, but hey, you know what? But she's hot.
All right, Frank, will you ask the next question?
Yeah, this is good stuff so far. Somebody wants to know, what role should my leaders play in dating or in my relationships?
Good question.
I will always include my leaders. When I met Luke, actually, the first person that I told that the experience that I had, the t-shirt and all of that, was my leader, my pastor. And that was very special because she had been married for more than 10 years. And that she gave me her experience and she guided me. And so I feel that it's very important to have your leader involved. And it's not that your leader is going to determine what you do or what you don't do, but it's just that accountability, and it's that guidance that you need. You need it because it's gonna save you some time, and it's gonna just be very good for you to hear from somebody else. Yeah.
So good.
Awesome. Anybody else want to tackle that one, or
I would say sometimes the reasoning behind not telling the leader is what you need to question. Like, what is it that you don't want? Do you want somebody to not go against secrecy, or maybe you think you already know so much about it, and that's why you've already been married. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why you tell someone something. It's because you usually want to hear a perspective, and in this case, a godly perspective, somebody who loves you. And I love what Pastor Marcela said, that we don't determine, the leaders don't determine who you're going to marry. We've seen people get married with somebody we didn't necessarily thought was the best. We still prayed for them, loved them, right? But I definitely think that if you bring somebody else in, even if they're not gonna tell you who to marry or not, it's important to hear their godly perspective and their loving perspective towards you, because they know sometimes your downfalls, they know your strengths. It's really good to talk. Yeah, I would say.
Thank you. So another question that came up was about boundaries. Actually, that one came up quite a few times. So the question is, when it comes to my relationships, what's the purpose of boundaries? And can you give examples of some good spiritual, mentally, and physical boundaries? Okay, whoever wants to go for it.
To me, you're asking the question because you know that there needs to be boundaries. Boundaries are so important in every area of your life. The reason that we have a schedule to go to work is if you didn't, you wouldn't go. There's just this, we are structured in our humanity, and I think as well in our sexuality. And there's just a natural want and desire to push those boundaries, and I think is real. We don't deny that. We're not ignorant to it. So therefore, we need to honor, again, just to bring that into perspective. How can I honor you and honor my future wife and just to think of who she is or who he is, and the covenant of marriage. And it's something that isn't really spoken about these days too much, and it's kind of taken for granted. And so, I mean, we could get into lots of details. I don't have very much time to talk about the details of boundaries, but yes, it's so important to sit down and go, okay, this is what we needed. For example, for her and I, we never went into a house by ourselves. If we knew no one was there, we wouldn't do it. I remember when we were getting close to being married, we were in the final months. Even just being alone in the car was not a good thing. And so we made the decision. We had to have the conversation and said, okay, we can't even do that. And again, that accountability. Who can we be accountable to that will allow to speak into our lives? Because we don't want to be hidden. So certain things like that, and you've got to speak them out. I think you've got to put words to boundaries. You can't just assume, otherwise it never happens. And so we were very verbal with, okay, what do we need to do in order to not fall? Because we knew that we had a call on our life, and we knew that we wanted to serve and honor God. And so therefore we couldn't risk it. And so that's what we did.
So,
I only went for everything. That was her boundary.
the thing is, again, I'm just maybe summarizing what Luke said. I think boundaries are laws to protect, right? To make clear where we're not gonna go, because we don't wanna, because it's clear. Boundaries, the thing is, when you break A, you go to B, and then to C, and
That's
then
great.
to D, and then you end up in
Yeah.
a stranger's bed, and you don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
But the reality is that you stepped into A in first place.
Yeah.
So if you have a boundary, so you're not getting into A, then you're gonna prevent getting into bed.
Right.
The thing is, there's a preacher that says that holiness without vision is the most boring religion. If you don't have a vision for why you need the boundaries for it, then it's just gonna be rules. And rules for most people are boring and easy, like even challenging, because rules are made to be broken. But if you are like, okay, I need boundaries because I want to get to my marriage in a holy state, in holiness, knowing that I didn't mess up beforehand, then it's easier. And the thing with boundaries is, both of you, like he said, both of you have to be in agreement, and it has to be both of you wanting to pursue those boundaries. Otherwise, if it is just one of you, it's gonna suck and it's gonna fail.
I love what Pastor Eunice said, that boundaries are to protect us. I think every time somebody gets hurt, it's because they cross the boundary. And one of the things that our churches, our pastors, they give us is they try to help us clarify what are those boundaries. And one of the things that somebody asked was, what are the stages and why are the stages important? So maybe we can tie that in there.
All right. The stages are simple. It's really not hard. The more complicated you make it, the more you're not going to do them, because you're going to be like, oh, I got to figure this out. It's simple. You first are friends, right? You cannot date somebody you don't even know. I had a disciple back in the day. You know who you are. I want to marry this person. I was like, what's her last name? You're like, why is that important? And I'm like, dude, that's too soon, right? So you have to first have friendship, like an actual friendship. I guess before that, you'll be an acquaintance. You don't say you're a friend just because you have them on Facebook, added. But you have to be friends. And then after that comes a friend with purpose. We have come to know that with a very endeared term of friends with benefits. No, just kidding. No, special friends. Sorry, edit that out. Special friends. So you become just special friends, and meaning that you have a purpose in your relationship, no physical, all that stuff. I know, because you're next to me. No, but okay. So friends with purpose, or special friends, and then after that comes boyfriend and girlfriend. Then after that, you ask her to be your wife. It's called engagement, and then you get married. There's nothing special about it. It's just outlining where you are, so you know what those boundaries are, where you are, because there's a progression.
Can I say something? A couple of months ago or years ago, I came into the questioning why the stages. The stages are not a black book that you have to do things. I don't know if to say, no, it's not called a black book. It's like a whatever. A rule book. They're not just so you do them because you have to do them because it's the 10 Commandments. It's to bring common sense. Most people that come to Christ do not have common sense, biblical common sense about how to do relationships. So the stages provide that. Provide like, okay, I know I did things wrong back then. I know I lack the common sense, the Christian common sense, the biblical common sense to do things right. What is a common sense? And that's where the stages come in, not as rules, but as to say, okay, you did things wrong. This is the way to do things right. These are the steps. So like there's no rules about how to do the steps, but it adds common sense to you. It's a guideline, so you don't mess up.
Yeah,
Just that.
and we hear all the time, right? Like people say, like there's like brokenhearted because they acted like boyfriend girlfriend, but they were just friends. Or people even act like husband and wife, and they were not husband and wife. They were boyfriend girlfriend, or even just friends, right? And so people end up so broken, sexually, to be very honest, bound to each other and even manipulated. We hear people say, "I'm gonna kill myself," and your friends don't talk like, "I'm gonna kill myself." If you don't have sex, friends are not gonna do that. But because they don't understand the boundaries, they don't understand the stages, they end up really wounding each other and even hurting like friend circles, right?
It
And
offers
ministries.
a renewal of the mind.
It definitely is a new way of thinking it. Yeah.
Thank you, pastors, for that. We have 2 more questions, and then we're gonna go to a really
Next
cool
segment, yeah.
really cool segment. So this one is: what are some signs to tell God is giving you the green light to pursue a relationship or to go to the next stage?
That's good.
Again, I will come to your authority, your leader, or pastor, and I will ask first, like, hey, what do you think? I feel, or we feel, we want to go next. I think that's very, very good. It's healthy, because I've seen some couples that they just decide, themselves, okay, now we're gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend, but maybe they weren't ready for that yet, and they end up making mistakes. So I would include my authorities. And what was the other part of the question?
Yeah, when do you know that God is giving you the green light to
The green
go to
light.
the next stage or to start a relationship?
I would say with through your pastors or authorities, but also you feel that the relationship, it needs to move on and move forward, and God will bring peace, and He will just have everything, I don't know, there for you. I don't know how to say it, but maybe you also need to check that you're growing in your ministry, that you're bearing fruit, that things are, that there is some signs that everything is like flourishing in your life, that you are moving forward. I believe that's a sign.
Maybe some warning signs too
okay.
that you should not.
Can I add something too? Is that relationships are distractions, just plain distraction, and it can be a good distraction if it's the right person, but if it's a wrong person, it's a bad distraction. And so if you're trying to follow after God and it's the wrong distraction, obviously it can take you out. And I've seen so many over the years, people get taken out. And so in order to get the green light, are you serving God with all of your heart? Are you putting God first? I think because I'm not talking to just anybody. I think on this, you're here because you want godly relationships. So I want to talk to you. And you're saying, okay, am I putting God first? When you're running after God, and this is an analogy was told to me, just start running towards Jesus. And if you look to the side and the person that's running next to you, is of the opposite sex, okay? And they're running next to you and you're going, and then just put your head back down and keep running towards Jesus and keep doing and serving God. And then a little later, look again. And if that person is still there, that's a good sign. But what we often do is we look and we see that person and we stop. And we stop our ministry, we stop pursuing God, we lose everything of momentum. And so this, to have a green light, are they serving alongside you? Are they running in the same direction? Are you the priority, or is God the priority? And for me, it's so important. And in our case, I asked her authorities, her pastors, for 3 years, and because I was eager and I wasn't desperate, I was determined. Okay, I was like, can I go to the next level? 2 years it took. But it tested my heart. So you need to be tested.
I think something very, like, if I can add something very small.
It took me 3 months.
When the relationship is right, it brings out the best in you and in the other person.
good.
When the relationship is wrong, you'll see the person crying all the time, lost in her thoughts or his thoughts, not undecisive, confused, doubting that God spoke, and it's like a roller coaster of emotions instead of something like they said, that flourishes and beautifies both people. And it doesn't drain the life out of anybody, but it actually adds and takes everything that is good out to shine in each other.
And you have to be willing to be honest with yourselves. You know, you have to be willing to say like, "Hey, if this is not right, it's not. If it's not working, it's not working." And don't try to, make it work at all. There'll be a time for that. When you're married, there'll be a time where we will die together, kind of thing. But when you're just going out, if you have to muscle it, I don't think you should try to go to the next level, right? If you have to try so hard, you're gonna try even harder on the next level. So
That's good advice right there, guys. That's really good.
One of the questions that a lot of people actually asked about, I think we had the most questions about, what does it mean to be unequally yoked? How do you know if you're being unequally yoked? So maybe if you guys can define what it means and how can you tell?
Unequally yoked.
Yeah.
I think Pastor Luke started a really amazing analogy, and I think he should run with that analogy with unequally yoked.
Yeah, I mean, I think these two questions really go hand in hand as well. Again, if you're serving God and you're trying to date somebody that's not serving God, it's really, really a challenge. It doesn't mean that person won't. We make fun of it and we call it ministry dating, like, oh, we hope that they get saved. And again, it can happen.
Missionary dating.
But an advice that was given to me, I don't know if it's the best advice, but to get with someone and to be with someone, are you willing to be with them if they don't change? Of course, I believe the Christian life is all about being changed and transformed. Thank God I'm not the same person I was when I met her. But at the same time, if I'm always trying to change you, and that's what we do in relationship, I want you to be like me and she wants me to be like her. And so to be equally yoked, I mean, obviously in the Bible, it talks about that. I don't think any worldly couple would say, hey, are we equally yoked? But it's, it talks about, it's actually like oxen, they're working together and they have to be pulling at the same time, the same speed and walking together. And of course you do different things and have different roles together. But if you're not in agreement, this agreement is so powerful. Yes. In the way that you speak, in the vision that you have. And that doesn't mean there's no arguments. We have to fight through things. And for 3 years when we were dating, we were fighting through things, but in order to come into that equally yoked, because we knew if we were going to get married, we had to be united.
Yeah. I think a very common misconception is I'm going to change him or I'm going to change her.
That's right.
So you'll force the equally yoked part, but that doesn't happen. You did not die for the person. You did not save the person. You did not redeem the person. That person will only change by the grace of God, not by your persistence. And many times, especially women that marry and they get into a relationship with the wrong person, they were convinced that I am the agent of change.
Right.
And that doesn't work that way. And again, you're not marrying a perfect person, but like I said before, if that person have the potential and is that person growing, is a person, my mom used to tell me all the time, look for someone that is willing to be discipled. Yeah. Look for someone that is humble, that will have a leader speaking to his life. Because if that person is willing to be discipled, then everything else, it's gonna be fine. But if that person is prideful and doesn't listen and thinks it's like right all the time, no matter if you're Mother Teresa, you're not gonna change him, and then your marriage is gonna be hard. And it doesn't and it doesn't mean that that.
Awesome advice, guys. Those questions have been answered so amazingly.
Yeah.
I hope all of you guys are taking notes, right?
Yeah,
especially you're
stuff.
trying to get married.
Mm-hmm.
So we have another segment. This segment is really cool, really interesting, because there were so many questions. We decided to make some of these questions just a yes or no answer. Okay, so each of our pastors are gonna raise your cards, guys. Each of them have 2 cards. One says yes, one says no. And we're gonna ask the question, and they have to quickly raise either their yes response or their no response. Are you guys ready for this? All right. So since I'm a woman that submits, husband, please go ahead and start first.
By the
Yes.
way, I really love that shirt. That thing's awesome.
I love Frank. You bought it for me too, by the way. Okay, here we go. Frank, take us there. Come on.
Is it okay to date someone with a different faith or beliefs than yours?
No. Okay, pretty straightforward. No discussion there. Next question.
Oh, here's a good one. Can women make the first move?
Ooh, what do you think? We got yeses.
Wow.
Pastor Eunice, would you like to elaborate on this?
Okay, just because you make the first move doesn't mean you are throwing yourself at his feet. But you can smile.
Okay.
You can flirt.
Okay.
You can be delicate and like give him something or ask him how his day was. It doesn't mean you're gonna go and kiss him or you're gonna go and say, "Do you want to marry me?" I don't think that women
Yeah, there are moves.
should
and there
do
are
that.
Right,
yeah.
right.
But
Pastor Marcela and Pastor Ernie, can you give us your best flirt look, like the Christian look? Go. One, two, three at the camera. All right, okay. Next question. Go, Frank. You're doing great, Frank.
I'm wanting.
Woo, let's go.
Uh-oh. Love is in the air.
You need to see that flirty look.
She gave the look, and he's wearing the shirt. Nah, just kidding. No Jedediah today. All right, go, Frank. Next question.
Next question. By the way, please, man, don't show up to church on Sunday wearing a Jedediah shirt. At least trying to change it up. Maybe David or Peter.
Daniels.
That's already taken.
Yeah.
Next question.
Go.
Can you kiss in the special friend stage?
Okay, straightforward. There you
No.
go. Stop
Okay.
kissing, y'all. All
Looking
right,
at
go.
some of y'all.
Mm.
Pastor says, kiss your mama. Can you talk
Social
about
distancing.
Can you talk about marriage in the boyfriend and girlfriend stage?
No.
Oh, okay,
Are
okay.
are
We got
seeing different
we
things?
got some.
Okay.
No, Pastor, you said no.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. That one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait. What just happened? Can you
Whatever
explain
she
what just
said
happened?
is right. Whatever she said.
Wait,
Whatever
did anybody say no? Okay, all right.
We're all
So
in agreement?
we all say
Okay,
yes. You
okay.
could talk about it. All right, come on.
Next question. Should you be dating if you don't have a job?
Ooh. We see no. What
Let's
is?
see. Okay, we're thinking about this
If
one.
if you were dating and lost your job.
Wait.
We need that microphone.
If you were dating and lost your job, then okay.
What
But
do you
if
think?
you are
Thank God for the stimulus package.
Wait, we haven't gotten
COVID.
Pastor Luke and Pastor Marcela's answer. What do you think? Ooh, can
This
you
is
guys
a-
elaborate, please?
What? Let
Come
me
on.
ask a follow-up question as you.
Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is priorities.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's important to have a job. So, but I mean, you should be looking for a job. Like, you know,
I think it
look
depends
at-
on your history
yeah.
too. If you're just like unemployed
good.
all the time,
Yeah,
then
Let me see your
leave the
resume.
guy. Like he is not the
he's
guy
not
for you.
good. Yeah.
But you know,
What if he's going to school? She's going to school.
exactly.
Well,
well,
Full-time
yeah,
student.
So
those
that's
are
That's
totally
okay?
that's a
different
different
cases, yeah,
situation.
but-
All right.
Yeah, and there are people with, if you don't have a job because you got no vision for your life,
Right.
because you don't care. Yeah, I think that's what we're getting at. But if
Yes.
you're a driver, you're trying to get somewhere, and in the meantime, you're trying to build something.
Yes.
You
We've
know,
all been
but
there
girls,
at some point.
you cannot marry talent. Like you cannot say, well, one day. You gotta have to. You
No.
have to see that the man one day can hold a household
That he's
together,
a
and it's not gonna.
provider,
Yeah, it's a
Well, does he have
provider.
Or
a
if
plan?
he's
Does he
telling
have
you
a
he's
plan
got
at
side
least?
hustle, like it may not
Right.
be good.
Yeah,
All
like I
right.
live off of my.
So you're
my
saying they should
grandma's
probably
check.
have at least a plan, right?
Right,
A plan or
He
something.
sells drugs.
Sells drugs.
Hey,
Whoa,
you know.
That has promise. Okay, Frank,
Yes.
next,
Still
go.
got promise.
Ready,
So-
guys?
So, ladies, make sure you ask for that resume. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Go.
This one's awkward question. Let's see how this goes. Can you date someone who previously dated someone else at the church?
Yes.
Yeah. I hope everybody.
So we're
answered
getting
yes.
yeses
Yeah, we're
on
good.
Yes.
So
Okay,
no
okay.
marking territory, y'all. It's okay to
No,
date.
and the whole thing, I like him first, so you cannot like him.
You cannot
Yeah,
mark
that-
your
doesn't
your.
work.
You can
No.
call dibs. That's
No.
what you're saying,
No
Pastor.
dibs.
Don't call dibs.
If you
Can't
do
call
that, you gotta
dibs.
pee on him like a puppy.
So yes, we agree they can date.
Yeah, you can date.
Go for it.
All right. All right.
All right.
Here we go. Can you meet their family at the special friend stage?
Yes. All
Yeah,
right. You should.
okay.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
what do you say? Because there's a difference between meeting the family
30 seconds.
and just like, hey, maybe a group of people are coming over to my house. Would you like to come over? What do you guys think? You know what I mean? Like meet the family, like
Right,
very
right.
intentional.
My family wanted to meet Pablo from the start
Right.
because they always were involving whoever was my friend.
That's awesome.
They didn't care if he was going to be my boyfriend or not. They wanted to know who my friends were.
That's good.
So, yeah.
And I wanted to know how you treated your family, because
Right.
the way you treat your family.
But your
speaks a lot
mom
about-
didn't invite me to your house until we almost got married. So I guess culture, like I'm throwing it out
Different
there. I'm not. I forgave. I went to an
She said,
encounter
"Oh, mama."
already. But I guess culture has something to do with it. So it depends on the culture as well.
Yeah. And to be very fair to my mom,
Go,
I think I had done things wrong back in the day. So in the past, I had gotten my mom really like near and dear my ex-girlfriends, and my mom was like done with it. She was like plural. And so she still likes, I'm not gonna say their names, but it kind of sucked for her. So I think at some point she just like got over that. And I just said the next person I bring in, I want to make sure that she's right and she's real. But she knew you, by the way. She knew you. You mean actually coming to my house?
She knew my family and all.
Yeah. It wasn't like.
So there you have it, folks. It's okay. Last question for yes or no. Here we go.
Does God have a specific person he wants you to marry?
Ooh. Okay, we have yeses, and yes and no.
We're seeing
Whoa.
some
Okay, let's hear one.
controversy.
Let's hear one from the yes and one from the no. Okay, one from the yes, Pastor Luke and Marcela.
One from the yes. I believe, I know it for me. I just in my past as well, I was able to, I dated just a few girls. Okay.
Don't give a number.
There was, they loved Jesus. They were great in so many things, but there was something that wasn't there. It felt like it wasn't right. And as I prayed about it, never got the peace. And so for me, I'm convinced in my own relationship and in my parents and seeing others and hearing so many testimonies. And then if we just go back, let's just get in the Bible. Come on, Adam and Eve. God brought Eve out of Adam. I think that's a really good testimony. Took him out of his own heart. So I think that God has the right person that fits, that is perfect for you. And so we could keep preaching, but I think that's why.
What about something from the no side?
The yes and no side.
It's a tricky question, and it's a tricky answer because it can be misinterpreted. But I think many people are waiting for God to tell them, and they don't even know what they want. So it's easier to say, God, tell me and show me, instead of they working on trying to find out what they want and become who that person wants. So I do believe God has someone special for you. But I think saying God has it and he's going to bring him and he's going to show me and angels are going to speak. It might happen sometimes, but I think you cannot just wait on that. And you got to start, I don't know. It's complicated.
And I've seen enough marriages where they have thought they made the wrong choice and married the wrong person, but I've seen the Lord intervene in their lives and they became the right person. So that's why it's kind of like yes, no,
and the other way around.
And the other way around as well. So that's why we said yes and no. We definitely agree with what Pastor Luke said, 100%. And then also just kind of like,
So you guys have survived the yes and no round. Give yourselves a round of applause. Woo, come on. Yes, you did it. And we want to go to our last segment of the night, and we want to spice up things a little bit, pastors, because we know that your disciples and your churches out there are wanting to see you guys in your natural habitat.
Hey.
So we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this last segment, okay? You have to finish the phrase, all right? So we're gonna let the gentleman go first, okay? So Pastor Luke and Pastor Pablo, you will finish this phrase as
whipped
first,
cream to
okay?
everything.
Whipped cream to everything. Okay, my love, do you want to ask the first question?
Yeah.
I'll finish the first phrase, okay?
Yes, my lovely love.
I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous.
Okay, Pastor Pablo answers first, and then Pastor
Why
Luke.
me?
Okay?
Wait, why
Yeah,
me?
yeah, let him do
Why?
it.
Go.
No.
My wife is the hottest when she
is awake and sleeping.
at all times. Very well
At
done,
all
Pastor.
times, baby.
That's my pastor.
All right, Pastor
Dodge
Luke.
that bullet.
Ask
No,
Pastor
no,
Luke.
he has to answer something.
No, for real? Okay, I'll say it.
That's
I'll say
good.
it. No, I'll say it.
Let it be. No, it's whatever natural.
Yeah, okay. My wife is the hottest when she smiles.
Oh, nice.
Well done. Well
All
done.
right. Okay, Pastor Luke, finish the phrase. My wife is the hottest when she...
My wife is the hottest when she looks at me. Honestly, her eyes melt me every time.
Wow. Look at him right now, Pastor. Oh, fire. All right, now the ladies.
That's why I told you he should go first, man. He's romantic. I'm like,
No. Ladies, you are next. Now, ladies, you are on the hot chair. Come, finish the phrase. My husband is the manliest when
he makes breakfast.
oh, nice.
with no shirt.
With the
With
Jedediah.
that shirt.
I want to know, Pastor, do you have a Jedediah tattoo on your chest?
He does.
Just kidding.
Pastor
Pastor
Eunice,
Eunice.
finish the phrase. My husband is the manliest when.
Manliest when he's fixing the house.
Oh, all right.
Hey.
How does that make you feel, Pastor Eunice?
Do you really want me to answer?
Well, moving on.
Moving forward.
No, I want to know.
We have 2 minutes and 48
Ah!
seconds.
I'll answer
All
with
right,
this.
Oh.
Let's
All
move
right.
on.
The gentleman now. Go ahead, man.
When I smell my wife, I think about.
Luke, go ahead. That was you. No.
Wait,
go
what?
ahead, Luke.
Oh,
It's
okay.
your turn to go first.
Oh, okay. Whew, that was-
Gentlemen.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Finish the phrase. When I
When I
smell.
smell my wife, I think about.
Kissing her all over.
Oh, stop.
He's good. This guy's good.
Woo, third
Let's
child
get
on the
real.
way. Third
Okay.
child.
Pastor
right.
Pablo.
Pastor Paulo.
Let's
Finish
keep
the
it.
phrase.
Let's keep it
Oh,
PG-13.
that same question? That same question?
When I smell my wife, I think about.
You want me to really, really honest?
Yes, Pastor.
Really
yes.
honest? It
Oh,
depends
man.
what time it's at.
No.
Oh.
Finish the phrase.
Because if it's early in the morning, she's like, hello, good morning. It's different, But that's
Keeping it real.
Pastor, finish the phrase.
no. When I smell my wife, I think about.
Ooh.
Something is like
I do say it. I say.
Well, there's
I
no
say,
calling a friend here.
This is intense. This is intimate. And
Pastor,
it's the
finish the
cheese.
phrase.
Okay, I
Okay.
say. I think.
We know it's in there.
I do always actually tell it. You smell like my wife.
Oh, that's sweet. All the girls out there. Oh.
Aw.
Put all
Whatever
the
that
hearts
means.
right there. Type
It
all the
means
hearts.
you smell like the right person for my life. That's what that means. You want to go deeper?
See, Pastor, it's there, isn't there?
Pastor,
All right,
I do
all
say it
right.
very
Next,
often,
next,
though.
next. Ladies, when I see my husband, I think about.
Hmm.
Mm.
But what context?
Oh,
Any context?
in what room?
Oh!
Where? At what time?
Oh my goodness.
You know?
If you guys would see the church right now, everybody's running out.
This quarantine, man. OMG,
I
Pastor
think that I want to spend time with him.
Roof is on fire.
Okay. So, Pastora
Okay,
Marcela,
okay.
you said when I see my husband, I think about
Spending time with him, hanging out.
making out. She said.
Making out. We'll take it. I'll take making out.
Making out, yeah.
Hey, you guys wanted to know your pastors better.
Woo! There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Okay, Pastor Eunice, finish the phrase. When I see my husband, I think about.
But again, it depends a lot on what time of the day it is. If it is like in the morning, it's like all the things that he needs to do.
That's good.
If it is towards the evening, it's like I want to sit down with you.
Okay.
And then if it is towards the night,
I want to lay down with you.
And if it's
Yeah.
when he's fixing something, and you're standing behind, Pastor Ernie, can you do it? Woo! Okay. Moving on. Woo! The last question, the last
Híjole.
phrase, gentlemen, pastors. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
If my wife was food, she would be.
Arequipe ice cream.
What?
If you don't know
Okay.
what that is and you haven't
de
lived, it's like
What kind of
dulce
ice
de
cream?
leche. Arequipe. It's from Colombia.
Oh, from Hagen.
It's like the color of her skin, and it's
Oh.
silky, and it's sweet,
Uh-oh.
and I could eat it all day.
Uh-oh. Mhm.
That should
All
have
right.
had music to it.
Yeah.
That's definitely got to have.
The
music.
ice
Somebody
cream
pass Pastor Luke his guitar, please.
Hey.
My
All
little
right.
Arequipe
You
babe.
should throw it on a sketch it.
Pastor
Okay.
Pablo, your turn.
Wow.
Finish
What was
the
que-
phrase.
Wait, what was the
Melts
question
in my
again?
mouth. I could keep going until you want to find one.
Someone
It
stop him.
should keep
Somebody
going.
Or give
please.
him ice cream either way. Go.
If my wife was food, she would be.
Pastor.
You don't want to know what I'm about to say, because then because we're.
Think
Yeah.
of the children,
Say it,
Pastor.
Pastor.
No, I can't say it really. My wife was food. She would be. This is such a. Who asked this question? I want to know who asked this question.
We may or may not be us, Pastor.
May or may
I
not
don't know. Go.
If my wife was food,
Just say it, Pastor. Say it.
she would be
Choripanes.
chori. No. Yes, a great piece of meat.
Mm.
Argentinian
Wait,
meat.
medium well, medium rare.
Nah,
what
she's
kind?
well done.
Woo! Yes.
That's
No,
good.
let's ask that question, nigga. That was
No,
wrong.
no, that
sounds bad.
That's what people
That
want.
sounds
It's
horrible.
stayed. It's
Stay.
No,
stayed.
it sounds wrong. It sounds
Give
too
the
wrong.
people what
Hey, you
they
gotta
want.
edit that. No, it sounds
No,
perverted.
that was really good.
It sounds perverted.
No,
it
it's
does
not.
sound perverted.
What do you guys think? Does it
I'll
sound
just say a
perverted?
fine piece of meat.
They know you're fine.
You know what? If my wife was food, she would be a fine piece of meat.
Oh, okay. Okay. Last question for the ladies. If my husband was a drink, he would be. If my husband was a drink, he would be.
I don't.
There's.
Coke.
Ooh, Coke.
I like Coke.
Coke.
I got fizz. I got pop.
Oh,
Right?
Pastor Eunice.
For
if
me, it would be like mate, of course.
Of
Mate, if
course.
you don't know what mate is, Argentinian tea that we drink all day long. We Argentinians, and it's like something that is so habitual, but at the same time pleasurable.
Woo!
It's like the one thing that roots you and makes you who you are and makes you known every time you carry out. So yeah,
And you want to have it all the time.
yes.
You won that round. You won that round. Okay?
Hey,
Call
all
me
right.
mate.
You guys survived. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah.
Yeah, let's give it up for our pastors.
They're so real today, man.
Yeah.
Woo, it's hot in
Trill.
here. Guys, man, that was amazing. Did you like that?
Yeah, I had a good time. I hope you guys had
Jeez.
fun. I hope you guys learned some good stuff.
So much wisdom, and man, you guys, I hope you guys took notes. So how about we give our pastors a round of applause today? Type in some hearts in there, guys. Come on, show them some love on the comments. Yeah, and so let's finish this segment with one final remark from each of the couples. So anything you guys want to leave the people out there, maybe single, wanting to not be single anymore, or people in a relationship wanting to do things right or moving to the next level, leave us with some final remarks. Go ahead.
I would say, serve God, fall in love with Him, do everything for Him, and don't look for that person. That person is gonna come. And I know we talk about pursuing and all of that, but as you're busy serving God, He is gonna make sure you have the right one. Yeah.
I want to say I love you. I think that you are the most beautiful woman on the planet. I am privileged that I get to sit next to you and do life together with you. You are my dream girl, my dream come true. And I'm so glad that we get to even talk about relationships. We got no PhD on this, but we got 9 years and we still love each other. I could say I love you more today than I did when I first saw you, and even when we said I do. So find someone that you can do life with, and you'll never go wrong.
Nice. Ooh, Pastor Pablo,
Amazing.
Pastor Eunice, final
Find
remarks.
someone like Luke Page. He's awesome. Really.
I think, like they said, and I mentioned before, have the ideal marriage, not the ideal man. Just look for the man that will help you build that ideal marriage.
Wow. I would just say, well, two things. One, find people around you that love God, that you can share that same heart with. You heard, us talk with Pastor Luke and Marcela. We love them to death. We've grown closer and closer, and having these kind of amazing friendships around you will help you, really grow and really stay together. If you talk, if you surround yourself with broken relationships, with broken, just mindsets, that's going to be an outcome. It's going to have an effect on your relationship. So having godly people around you is super important. And then the last thing I would tell you is this: don't necessarily, if you're single, focus less on finding someone and focus more on becoming that someone. Focus on your life, on yourself growing, and you'll spend less time worrying and more time growing. And we just really love you guys, honestly. We all love you guys very, very much. We're here with you, the leadership, the pastors. We're here to help you grow and to help you walk this journey. And one day when you are married, when you have that family, you're going to look back and it's just going to be a bunch of bloopers and a bunch of fun, romantic moments. So trust me, it's going to get there. And when you do get there, you're just going to thank God for even the waiting time, because that's the time you grew the most as well. So
Let's give our pastors a round of applause tonight. Yay!
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, pastors. We love you.
Yeah.
CFF, MCI, and everyone watching this today. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.